What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another daily deck tech video and another viewer request. And much like the Dragon yesterday, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. This deck is not budget friendly. When I get viewer requests, if I don't get a budget level, I try to keep it to $300 or less, sometimes $400 or less. When I do get specific budgets, I stick to those. And then when somebody's like, I want to see something as powerful as possible, I don't care about budget. That's how you end up with this and the Dragon. So today's deck tech is 13,449.76. Yeah, it's a spicy one today. That is quite a lot of money. Proxy this deck if you ever want to play it. Lord knows I can't pay this. So like this is like a whole year's worth of mortgage payments for me. But without further ado, let's get straight into it, shall we? So we have Mishra, Artificer, Prodigy, viewer request. So who's Mishra? Mishra, Artificer, Prodigy, is a card originally from Time Spiral. I actually have a few of these still sitting around from my Time Spiral cards. It's a 4/4 for 4 that says whenever you play an artifact spell, you may search your graveyard, hand, and or library for a card with the same name as that spell and put it into play. If you do search your library this way, shuffle it. Now, at face glance, this card looks like it does absolutely freaking nothing in Commander. However, there's some degenerate stuff that we can do with this card. And it's a combo commander, okay? So I'm going to scroll down and introduce you to some cards in a different order today. So I'm going to introduce you to our enchantment section. We have this card here, Blood Funnel. It says non-creature spells you play cost 2 less to play. Well, that's pretty cool, right? It's a great side. Why hasn't this card seen more play, Weston? Well, whenever you play a non-creature spell, counter that spell unless you sacrifice a creature. That still doesn't seem that bad in an Aristocrats deck, but what the hell is it doing in this deck? Well, my good friends, let's scroll up here to artifacts. See all these little crispy artifacts up here? We'll take Mishra's Bauble, for example. Costs 0, right? Play it for free. You can play it for free into Blood Funnel. Well, you have Mishra and you have Blood Funnel in play. You play your Mishra's Bauble. You get to order the triggers, okay? So see how Blood Funnel says that you counter a non-creature spell unless you sacrifice a creature? And notice when it says whenever you play, so that means cast, an artifact spell. So what we want to do is, since it will be your turn, you order the triggers as follows. You put Blood Funnel on the, to resolve first. It will counter your Mishra's Bauble. Your Mishra's Bauble goes to the graveyard. Okay, that seems pretty cool. And then your Mishra Artificer Prodigy will activate. And it says you may search your graveyard, hand, or library for a card with the same name and put it into play. If you do, search your library this way, shuffle. So then your Mishra's Bauble goes to the graveyard, right? And then you'll put it into play. Now, we want to do this a whole bunch of times in this deck. As you can see, we have a bunch of zero-cost things, low-cost things. We are running Mycosynth Lattice, encroaching Mycosynth and things like that. Vexing Bauble will also help us with this. If you don't pay any mana for something, it counters it, which will also put it directly into play. And then our other combo enablers, we have Ice Cave. Whenever a player plays a spell, any other player may pay that spell's mana cost. If that player does, counter that spell. We have Nether Void. All spells cast are countered unless their controller pays an additional 3 mana. Planar Chaos. At the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, sacrifice Planar Chaos. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player flips a coin. If he or she loses the flip, counter that spell. And then Possibility Storm. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it. Then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile cards that share a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put all cards exiled this way with this enchantment on the bottom of their library in random order. So you do all this, and then it's just going to cycle loop through and get you Possibility Storm plus Mishra and these zero-cost artifacts, right? Because you exile it, and then you can play it. Well, you cast it, and then it's exiled, right? And then you exile cards until you find another one and you can cast that. Then they put all cards exiled with this enchantment on the bottom of their library. So what you do is you, again, cast your Mishra's Bauble. Yeah, it gets exiled, and then you get another thing that you can cast, which, again, will get countered by one of your other things, or you can put it into play. And then your Mishra's Bauble gets put back into your library, and then it gets brought back with your Mishra, which is very interesting. You can also do things like Sensei's Top Mystic Forge here to build up Infinite Storm, and we have or near Infinite Storm. We have Hercule's Recall in here. Return all artifact cards to the target player owns to his or her hand. So the goal in this deck is to slam down, just repeating all of these artifacts, and eventually storm off with either Brain Freeze, Grape Shot, or Mind's Desire, and then win the game that way. But let's get back up to our creatures to see what the supporting cast looks like, right? I just felt it was very important with this deck because of the complications in it to go through those combo lines first. So we have Emeritus of Woe. When it enters prepared at the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures died this turn, this creature becomes prepared. I don't care about the beginning of end step thing. It's a demonic tutor. It's going to help us tutor up what we need. We have Enthusiastic Mechanaut, makes things cheaper. Same with Ethereum Sculptor, Foundry Inspector, Joyra's Familiar. Right? Those all cheapen our spells. We have Lodestone Golem to make non-artifact spells cost 1 more, so we're kind of staxing our opponents a little bit. We have Joyra Weatherlight Captain. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. So you cast it, you get to draw a card. Still put something into play with the Mishra. We have Goblin Welder. Choose target artifact the player controls and target artifact in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still illegal as this ability resolves, that player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield. We have Memnite in here. This is, again, and Phyrexian Walker. These are little 0-cost dudes that we're going to plop into play, or we're going to cast to have things go off. We have Metalworker. So you can reveal any number of artifact cards in your hand. Add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool for each card revealed this way. We have Momentum in here, so you can look at the top card of your library. You can cast artifact spells from the top of your library. Nullstone Gargoyle is part of the combo thing. Whenever you cast the first non-creature spell each turn is played, counter that spell. This also affects your opponents. Opposition Agent, so we can steal things. We have Padim, so artifacts have hexproof. Phyrexian Metamorph copies something. Thought Monitor draws us some stuff. Thada Adel is pretty interesting because it says Island Walk, and whenever Thada Adel Inquisitor deals combat damage to a player, search that player's library for an artifact card and exile it. Then that player shuffles his or her library. Until end of turn, you can play that card. So then you can cast the card. If they have a similar, artifact out there, then you can take yours in and fun stuff there. Urza is generically good in artifact decks, and then we're going to try out Prismari because it gives instant and sorceries. You have Storm. Sorceries, we already mentioned Grape Shot. It's Storm, deal 1 damage to any target. Mind's Desire. This was banned back in the day in 60 card constructed. Shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost, and it's Storm. Jessica's Will's in here. For obvious reasons, we get to play a lot more stuff, which will let us storm off faster. We have Wheel of Fortune. So, you play everything in your hand, and then you draw 7 more. We have Praetor's Grasp, which is a tutor. Search in an opponent's library for a card, exile face down, shuffle it, you can play that card. So it lets you do a bunch of fun things that way. Hercule's Recall. Return all artifacts target player owns to his or her hand. You want to Hercule's Recall yourself. You want to return all those 0-cost artifacts to your hand and just start plooping out artifacts again to build up your storm count. Thirst for Knowledge, draw 3 cards, discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact. And then our artifacts, we have 10 billion of them here. Like, seriously, like, it's so many. We have Aetherflux Reservoir. This is another win condition in addition to our Storm. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Which is pretty cool. So, like, your first artifact you cast, you gain 1, then you gain 2, then you gain 3, gain 4, gain 5. You know what I mean? Which is really cool. Then we have Mana Rocks, Arcane Signet, Grim Monolith, Chrome Mox, Everflowing Chalice, Lotus Petal, Mana Vault, Mox Diamond, Mox Amber, Mox Opal, Soul Ring, Talisman of Indulgence, Talisman of Creativity, Talisman of Dominance. A pseudo mana rock would be a Helm of Awakening, which makes all spells cost 1 less. We have Encroaching Mycospawn and Mycosynth Lattice, which makes Mycosynth Lattice makes it so all cards that are on the battlefield are colorless. Encroaching Mycosynth goes way further and is better in some instances. In this deck, it is a little better. Non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same as true permanent spells you control that are not permanent cards. That you control and are non-land permanent cards you own that aren't in the battlefield. So this, while in play, makes all of your non-artifact creatures in here into artifacts. Bolas Citadel, so you can play things from the top of your library by paying life for them. You know, also a good thing. Cloud Key, you can make your artifacts cost cheaper. Liquid Metal Torque is a mana rock. Target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Yeah, and then we have the One Ring in here. Topo Orb, so that way creatures entering the battlefield don't cause triggered abilities to trigger. It's generically good against our opponents. And Vexing Bauble, like I said, it'll counter our 0-cost artifacts, which will then let us, start comboing. For non-combo pieces in here, we have Mystic Remora and Rhystic Study. And then our lands, we have Academy Ruins, Ancient Tomb, City of Brass. We have high dollar. We have high dollar tickets here. Culminating in a Mishra's Workshop that's $4,900. Jesus Christ. Reflecting Pools in here, Steam Vents. We have, Underground Sea, Volcanic, Xander's Lounge, etc. I'm pretty sure I already hit update the cheapest, but let's take a gander, shall we? If we update the cheapest, what does this do? Well, apparently it freezes Moxfield today. Oh. We lowered by $30. Look at that, friends. Look at that. Big savings. All right. So, I'm going to go over to the gameplay section. I am going to give you a fair warning. I have never, piloted this deck in real life. I also am not the best combo player in the world. Playing really complicated combos hurts my brain. So, bear in mind. Let's go into it, shall we? And let's look at our opening hand. Oop. Looks like we've got a Mishra's Workshop, a Sulphur Springs, Mana Vault, Rhystic Study. Oh, goodness gracious. We got a hand. So let's draw for our opening turn. We're going to Mishra's Workshop, and we're going to drop Mana Vault. What a turn. We're going to play Arid Mesa. We're going to pop the Arid Mesa. I want a blue spell, is what I want right now. Because we have access to red and black right here. Or our blue thing. So let's go get our Underground Sea, shall we? If I can find it. There we are. Underground Sea. Look at that. Close and shuffle. Honestly, instead of playing the Rhystic, I'm going to play the One Ring, and I'm going to draw a card off the One Ring. Add a counter. Now, I still have 6 cards in hand. I have more sources available. Next turn, we draw... we got a Blood Crypt. I'm going to play Shivan Reef. So, we could play a couple of these. This only works for artifacts, friends. Which is really nice, because we're going to overload our mana a little bit. And we're going to drop this Ethereum Sculptor, because he is an artifact. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw 2 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That puts us to 7. And, that gives us a second burden counter on here. We go to next turn. We lose 2. I'm going to drop Ancient Tomb. I'm going to ping myself for 2. Well, I'll play Rhystic Study, because I'm a bad human being here. We still have all of this extra stuff. We need more colored mana sources is what we need. But we can sit here along with this. I don't want to draw 3 on my turn because I don't want to have to discard. So we'll play as though we get around to the opponent's turn. We're going to say we probably get to draw 1 off of Rhystic because people are being responsible in this theoretical game. And then we're going to add a counter and we're going to draw 3. All right, next turn. This is important. So, this adds 3 colorless for an artifact, right? We are going to go ahead and play Encroaching Mycospawn. So now all of our permanents that aren't even in our hands are artifacts. So now our Mishra's Workshop can pay for those things. We are going to drop a Drowned Catacombs. I'm going to go ahead and tap for 2 and a red. I'm going to put down 2 red. Ooh. Nah. Next turn we'll play Mishra. Yeah, told you. I'm not great at knowing the lines in combo. I'm a simple man. I do simple things. So now we still have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in our hand and a turn. We're just going to discard the Sulfur Springs. End of our opponent's turn. We're going to add a counter. We're going to draw 4. And then our next turn. All right, so we have top as well in here. We're going to drop a Blood Crypt. Yeah, drop a Blood Crypt. We're going to tap for 3. Because this says, the same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So this is an artifact now. Tap for 3. Black, red, blue. We're going to play him. We have 2 mana floating. So we're going to use that to... Actually, we're going to tap it this way. There we go. Black, red, blue. And then we are going to use the 2 mana and a red to play in our chaos. We then can start doing silly things. We can cast our Mem Knight, so you know, we get to flip a coin. Can I do that with this? I don't know. Player, can I flip a coin? Yeah, flip a coin. We'll say that heads is a win. So so we won. Guess what? I get to keep the Mem Knight. Well, that's a big shame there. You kind of see the gist. I'm sorry that I'm really, really not great with combo. I'm going to... everybody is good at admitting their faults. Here's a couple other opening hands for you. This is a non-hand because you don't have any legendaries, right? This is the rough part about... So this is a playable hand. We got Polluted Delta, Dragon Skull, Summit, Command Tower. We can do that sort of stuff, right? And then you draw a bunch of stuff. But all right. Go ahead and playtest it yourself. Of course, the Moxfield link is in the comments down below. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. What's up?